Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30 and time to begin the meeting. We always like to start off first with public comments. Are there any public comments? Just come up to the podiums and talk into the mic so they can hear you.
Okay.
And state your name, please.
My name is Elaine Lee, and I have 3 children in the district. I have a 3rd grader, a 7th grader, and a 9th grader. And I just wanted to come tonight and speak briefly about the Academies of Central Arkansas program that is about to be implemented in the high school. I went to a parent meeting at Lakewood last week. After that meeting, I have more concerns than I went in there with. Specifically, children who are both athletes and college track students, I feel will be very limited in not being able to take as many AP courses as possible. As I'm sure you all know, those are all worth more than a 4.0 on a 4.0 scale. We are going to limit some of our brightest children by taking those opportunities away from them. I ask in the least that a college track or college prep program or track be included in the 12, 5 of the 12 which are theater-based, possibly an independent study track where children who do not fit into any one of these 12 categories can find a mentor in the community, which it was explained to us the community is going to be very involved in this, so why not bring in something that's not on the list of 12? And my last point, we choose to send our children to the North Little Rock School District because it is a large district. There is a lot of opportunity. If we wanted a small learning community, I would choose that. That's not what I've chosen to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? There being none, I'll call this meeting to order. We will have invocation by J.R. Whitley, 3rd grade, Lakewood Elementary, and flag salute by Brody Martin, 2nd grade, Indian Hills.
Come on up.
Father in heaven, holy is your name. May your kingdom come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
JR and Brody, are your parents with you? If you would stand. Thank you. Ms. McLean, would you read the vision and mission statement, please?
Yes, the vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students. And our mission statement for North Little Rock, the North Little Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Colquitt.
Dr. Radis.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here.
Mrs. Carson West. Mrs. Temple.
Here.
Mrs. Waltham.
Here.
Mrs. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Still.
Here.
All righty, we're down to recognition of people, event, and program 6.1 school presentation.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I welcome Dr. Nadia St. Louis, the principal of North Little Rock High School, which is going to introduce, I believe, our school's presentation this evening. Welcome. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. St. Louis.
Well, good evening, and thank you all so much. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time this evening. I want our students to be able to share with you all about our STARS program. Again, I'm Nadia St. Louis. I'm the principal at North Little Rock High School, and I've had the pleasure to lead our campus. And one of the wonderful things that I have seen happening in our community that's changed a lot of our students' lives at the high school and also our students in elementary is our STARS program. So we have Miss Christy Kletcher here. She is our teacher who leads the work. So many students look up to her and just a valued member of the community. And we also have several students in the STARS program that are going to come up and speak about their experiences, just so you all can hear the amazing things that they're doing and also how their lives have been changed. And so they're coming up here, several of their classmates, but it will be 4 specific students speaking this evening.
Come on in. Okay. Sure, it's fine. They're just going to kind of take turns to talk about the program and how the program has affected not only the students that they interact with, but them and their school careers as juniors and seniors. My name is Christy Kletcher. I have taught in the district for 25, 26 years, and the last 10 years have been with the STARS program. So thank you, Dr. St. Louis, for allowing us the time to come, and thank you, board, for giving us the time to present our program and to talk about the things that we do. We service our district's preschool programs, and typically we visit Pikeview. That was our school last year since they have the bulk of the classes. And this year we are visiting Boone Park, Amboy, 7th Street, Glenview, and we're visiting kindergarten classes at Lakewood Elementary. So we're really fortunate that we see many of our district's youngest students, and we have the chance to mentor them and spend time with them and help them in their academic growth. So I'm going to turn it over to some of my kiddos now, but just once again, thank you very much for inviting us and for letting us have this time. Thank you.
My name is Mackenzie Dellinger, and I'm a second-year STARS student. Before I start saying anything about STARS, I would like to give a good thanks to Miss Kletcher. We couldn't do it without her. STARS is a program that's really, truly impacted me. I've had a little friend, that's what we call our kids, that's been on the spectrum, and I've had to learn how to cope with them. I've had to learn how to play with a friend that never spoke a single word to me on the same year. That whole year, I think he said, "Hey, Mom." Not even his mom, but that's what impact we bring on these kids is they think we're our parents because we go and help them. We play puzzles with them. We do so much for these little kids, and every time we come in, this is their reaction. Big friends are finally here. We do so much for these little kids, and just knowing I'm having an impact on these kids' lives that we don't know how their home impact is. We don't know what they go through at home. Just really brings a heart to me, and that I know that I'm helping these young kids. That's all I have to say. I'll pass it to Alden.
Hi, I'm Alden Lee. I'm a senior and a second-year member of STARS. Before I start, I'd like to thank Dr. St. Louis for recognizing this program and our amazing teacher, Christy Kletcher. I'd also like to thank the board and Dr. Poliski for allowing us to speak tonight. So, STARS is very important to me and all these other people, but it's even more important to our pre-K little friends. I'm sure you're all aware of the great diversity in North Little Rock, the school district specifically. This has really benefited me. It has enriched my education, broadened my horizons, but it hasn't been as beneficial to some other students in our district, specifically many of our little friends. Inevitably, it has resulted in an achievement gap that is commonly broken down on socioeconomic lines and has created some educational barriers for our kids. This issue makes the work and the purpose of STARS that much more important. I'm very fortunate to see firsthand the barriers my little friends face be broken down. These kids have such bright futures, and being able to provide them with the slightest advantage has been a remarkable honor. I'm Hannah Harshaw, and I've been in STARS for second years, and I'd also like to thank Ms. Clutcher for dealing with not only us, but allowing us to go into these classrooms, because she doesn't want to just send anybody in there, and for Dr. St. Louis for allowing us to get up here and talk about what this program has meant. For me, I want to work in childcare in the future, so going into the classrooms to work with the littler kids, it gives you an idea of what I'm going to be facing in the future, and I would definitely say it's taught me a lot of different things, like patience, time management, and how to multitask, because I have 3 little friends in one class. So going in, you want to make sure each kid has their own individual attention without neglecting the other 3. And that can be a challenge, but we learn how to get around it and how to make sure that they have the best time that they can have, because it's important to them to get to play with us as much as it is for us to go in and see them. I will say there have been times that our mornings have been rough, and you go in and you see your little friends and they run at you and give you a hug, and it's like nothing else matters. They'll come in and be like, our big friend is here, and then they'll stay, and they don't want you to leave. Sometimes they'll cry when you leave, and it's so cute. They're so sweet, and we love getting to go spend time and hang out with them. But that's all I got.
My name is Malachi Gober. This is my first year doing STARS. I would also like to thank Dr. St. Louis, Ms. Clutcher, and the school board. I look at all these kids like my little brother. I don't really know their personal life, but they might not have a father figure at home or a male figure. So I just try to be that male figure for all of them. And I know I got one kid that looks like he doesn't say a word at school. He didn't say a word to me first 2 times I saw him. Now kind of has a hard time being quiet when I'm around him. And that's really all I got. It brightens their day when they come see me. And all the other kids that's not even the people I deal with like to come hug me as well.
So thank you again for just letting us share about our STARS program. I'm very proud of our students. Several of our seniors, they're getting ready to graduate. Some of our students even heard about some acceptance today. And so the work that they're doing in the community just means so much, not just to the high school, but to all of our elementary schools, their principals, and all of our future leaders. So thank you all, and thank you for having us.
Are any of your parents here with you?
Miss Fletcher, congratulations on the new grade baby. Thank you so much.
Do you need us to sit down?
Just that cute little granddaughter.
Thank you.
Dr. St. Louis, I'd like to hear about those acceptance letters. That's my favorite part.
We both got it at TCU.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations.
Next, we're down to 6.2, school board recognition.
Ladies and gentlemen, and for our entire North Little Rock community, it is an honor to stand before you today and to share some exciting news that happened for us as a community, as a school district, and as a board. Last Friday was the annual Arkansas School Board Association annual conference. And last Friday, the Arkansas School Board Association recognized the North Little Rock School Board for their School Board of Excellence in Leadership Award. To me, this is what's impressive. In order to receive this coveted recognition, school boards must have documented evidence in the following 8 criteria. Number 1, a focus on and a dedication to support for student achievement, supports educational improvement projects, demonstrates commitment to a code of ethics, maintains harmony and supportive relationships among each other, among the board and with the superintendent, functions as a policy-making body with adherence to adapting policies, provides oversight for district finances, budget that support continuous improvement by making decisions and taking actions that are consistent with a district strategic plan, vision, mission, goals, and policies, and participates in training, workshop, and other performance improvement programs, and finally, supports and participates in relation efforts, including community awareness. They only recognize 2 school boards across the state. One is of a student population below enrollment of under 900 and one above 900. It is my honor and my privilege to share and to recognize our board leadership, and I want to thank all of them for their leadership and their service and their dedication to the community of North Little Rock, and I'm honored to serve alongside them as we transform our school district to be the absolute best that it can be. So I want to recognize Mr. Steele, Miss Valerie McLean, Miss Temple, Dr. Redis, Miss Williams, and Miss Wonkum, and I know we're absent of Miss Person West. Would you please join me to get our picture taken with this Covenant Award?
All right, 6.3, special recognition.
All right, good evening, board members and community. First, we want to recognize the Center of Excellence and the 6th grade campus. The Office of Education Policy at the University of Arkansas has recognized the 6th grade campus and the Center of Excellence with the Beating the Odds Award. This distinction highlights schools from across the state that have demonstrated high growth on the ACT Aspire while serving students from low-income communities. The 6th grade campus ranked 3rd in the state's central region for growth in math on the ACT Aspire. The North Little Rock Center of Excellence ranked in the top 10 high schools in the state for overall growth on the ACT Aspire. In addition, the COE ranked 4th in math in the central region and 3rd in English language arts in the central region. The Office of Education Policy is one of several research centers within the College of Education and Health Professions at the University of Arkansas. This office provides data for state leaders, educators, and other stakeholders to make meaningful decisions as it relates to education. These awards are based on the 2022 Content Growth Score calculated by the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education. The growth scores reflect how much students at the school improved from 2021 compared to how much they were expected to grow considering prior achievement. So will the leaders from the Center of Excellence and the 6th grade campus please come forward?
Do any of you have your parents with you? We're down to Superintendent's Honor Roll.
Well, I got one more recognition, then we'll go to the
Okay.
Superintendent's Honor Roll. So next we'll recognize the Center of Excellence in Crestwood Elementary. Crestwood Elementary School and the Center of Excellence will each receive money for either high achievement and student growth on the 2022 ACT Aspire exam. Crestwood Elementary School received high marks for being in the top 6 to 10% in student performance, which amounts to $24,200. The North Little Rock Center of Excellence will receive $32,700 for being in the top 5% in the growth graduation category. The Arkansas School Recognition Program, which is a component of the Arkansas Department of Education, provides funds to schools for achievement in growth and performance. In all, more than 178 public schools from across the state are poised to receive reward money, which can be used on faculty and staff bonuses, educational equipment and materials, or personnel to assist in improving or maintaining student performance. So with the leaders of the Center of Excellence and Crestwood Elementary, Ms. Lightfoot, who is the Executive Director of Elementary School Performance, will be accepting their award on behalf of Crestwood Elementary. They are celebrating their Christmas party tonight. So. Now for our Superintendent's Honor Roll, we'll be recognizing Mr. Terry Hansen, who is a custodian at Ridge Road Elementary. He was recommended for the Superintendent's Honor Roll by his supervisor, Ms. Kim Martin. Ms. Martin writes the following: It's always a blessing when you are able to hire an employee with traits such as hardworking, consistent, dependable, and dedicated. These traits are more describe Mr. Terry Hansen. I knew when Mr. Hansen was hired, he had leadership qualities, but at the time the position available was a night position. When the first day lead opening became available, he accepted the challenge of being a day lead custodian at Ridge Road in December 2021. Mr. Hansen settled into his new role with ease. When one of the night positions at Ridge Road became vacant, he filled in each day for an extended period of time until the position was filled. Mr. Hansen takes pride in his school and the cleanliness of Ridge Road. He is a true asset to the North Little Rock School District. And we've learned that Mr. Hansen was not able to come tonight, but Ms. Martin, who recommended him, will accept this award on his behalf. And Mr. Howe, principal at Ridge Road Elementary, he will as well.
See, I like your Christmas.
We're down to 6.5, Parent North Star.
Madam President, we do not have a 6.5 this evening or 6.6.
Okay. Moving right along. Uh-oh. There we go. I'm sorry. Executive closed session. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment if requested by the parent or legal guardian. Please join me in executive closed session for the purpose of discussing employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resignation of an employee. We're back in session. We're at 8.1, board member involvement. Okay, well, the only thing that I have is we went to Lakewood for lunch and we went to Pikeview. Shout out to Lakewood ambassadors. I told them I would say their names. It was the student council. Jimmy was the president. Charlie was vice president. Liam was historian, and Kylie is the secretary. And they showed us around the building. If you want to know anything, ask the historian, and he will make sure to explain everything to you.
Yes,
And of course, we all went to the ASBA conference. Thank you, Dr. Paluski. Dr. Paluski and I did a presentation on the 3 critical concepts for enhancing school board member and superintendent communication. I was nervous, but that's okay. I had Dr. P standing there, so we went
And
through
our other
that.
board members that were there participated.
Yes. Anybody else?
Oh, we just did the same, and I visited Glenview Family Night out twice. They had two things, and also donated socks to some schools, and also donated to North Rock Homeless Liaison. So that was cool. That's all.
All right, superintendent.
Okay, I'll go fast. Let's see, November, all the way back to the 29th. Attended with some of my staff the district-wide PLC, which is a state training and state initiative. On the 29th, Chief Finks and I and Chief Tessing held our monthly school safety task force meeting. And as you mentioned, on the 30th, we did attend the Lakewood School Visit Luncheon, which was awesome. On the 1st of December, I, like many of our staff, attended the I Like Me Reading Community Initiative at Lakewood and Indian Hills. I attended the FY Chamber Luncheon on the 2nd and showcased Meadow Park Elementary School's choir. They did an outstanding job. On the 6th, I had an opportunity to engage with the Arkansas State Chamber. On the 6th, I volunteered at the Thea Foundation, volunteered for their fundraising efforts as a member of their board. On the 6th, we had the Superintendent Parent Advisory Meeting, similar to what Dr. Redis had shared, as well as our board members attended the ASBA conference. We had a bang-up job of our self-care fair. Ms. Kathy Hale and her staff and all of our school counselors did an outstanding job on the 7th. On the 8th, I attended the state board meeting in which Capri Salam was recognized in front of the state board. That was such an honor. Dr. Redis recognized our presentation that we did at the ASBA conference. How can I forget the award that the board was given on the 9th? I met with superintendents of Central Arkansas. We meet once a month to collaborate and talk. I had an honor to do that. I attended the high school dance Christmas play at the high school. They did a phenomenal job. And last night I attended the Wildcat Foundation meeting.
Cool beans. All right, legislative update, Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Madam President and board members. We have 2 outstanding Arkansans, leaders from a legislative perspective, a community perspective, and they're going to come and share with us, and I'm cheating a little bit. They're going to do my report for me. If you could come up, first my good friend, both of you can come up in front of the microphone there. You're certainly used to that. My good friend, we'll start with the House, Carlton Wing, who represents us well. He does an outstanding job. Carlton, as a lady said during public comments, he chose to send his children to North Little Rock High School, and we really appreciate that, Carlton. His son and my son will be friends forever. So we really appreciate the leadership you provide. We know you've worked with us with legislative issues in the past, and we certainly thank you. Certainly my good friend, my senator, Senator Linda Chesterfield, and I would say we would be hard-pressed here, and especially for those of you who are new to Arkansas, to find anybody in Arkansas that knows more and cares more about education. She's a career educator, retired educator. She serves on the education committee through her time in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. And you also should know that she actually was a member of the Little Rock School Board and served as president of the Little Rock School Board. We just want you to come. Here it is December, and we're almost upon a legislative session, and we're very concerned about the direction that the session will go in, and we wanted you to come and get both of your perspectives on kind of some of the larger issues that we're going to be addressing in the session.
All right, well, thank you.
Let's give them both a hand.
Well, it's great to be here, and I appreciate the invitation to come. Not only have all four of my children gone through the North Little Rock School District, but I'm a graduate of North Little Rock Northeast High School as well.
Right.
Go Chargers.
Go Chargers.
Yeah. And I just want it known that we're the ones that put the charging in the Wildcats. So
Charging.
We are an adjective now, but a very proud adjective as well. And speaking of pride, I am very grateful for the award that you guys have earned because at the Capitol, we like to brag a lot. There's 100 members of the House, and we come from every corner of Arkansas, and Representative Jamie Scott and I, we love to rub it in the faces of everybody else when North Little Rock prevails. And we regularly remind the rest of the House that we are Title Town.
That's right.
And it is great to be able to have another title to do that. So I would like to formally invite you to the state capitol during our session so that we can recognize you on the floor of the House as well and present you with a citation for that. That would be an honor for me and Representative Scott as well. So we'd love to do that. And I think the Senate can probably pick up on that as well. We can do a double header that day. As far as the session goes, I'm looking forward to serving on the Education Committee. This will be my first time to do so. I actually got off of Public Health to get on to the Education Committee, and so I'll be the newbie there, and I look forward to hearing from Senator Chesterfield, who has a lot of experience on that, and so I look forward to listening and learning to what will be taking place in the upcoming session. I had the opportunity to speak at the School Board Association, the state meeting last week, and got to hear some of the concerns. There were things like literacy. That's obviously always going to be in discussion. How do we improve our literacy rates? And we all know how important that is. Early childhood education was brought up quite a bit. How much do you do? What's appropriate? And so those kinds of discussions, as well as the funding and all of that on there. And of course, teacher pay. Teacher pay is a big one. We had a lot of discussion on that over the summer. A lot of misinformation out there floating around, but the good thing that came from that was a lot more people became aware of what the funding matrix is. And so being more aware of the process, I think, has helped educate the populace as to how we go about providing the funding that's necessary for each of the school districts to do what you do and to do it well. And so I fully anticipate increases in those and certainly in teacher pay as well. What that'll look like I've not seen anything specific yet. Perhaps Senator Chesterfield has, but we'll see that, and I'm sure that'll be a big topic, and I would expect that to be tackled fairly early in the session.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Dr. Reedus, Dr. Paluski, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's an honor to be here and to represent North Little Rock in the Arkansas State Senate. It is also my honor to represent the other 3 districts as well. So my district encompasses a portion of Pulaski County, Jacksonville, North Little Rock, and Little Rock School District. And I think I'm blessed to have that opportunity simply because I love children. And I believe that in order for us to succeed as a state and as a nation, we must have a high-quality public educational system. What is of concern to me right now is the emphasis, it seems to be, on vouchers. And when we start talking about vouchers in public education, it means then that monies are siphoned from the regular public education systems into private schools. I would hope that we don't go back there because Arkansas was one of the first states in the nation to have vouchers, 1958. 1958, when the school system of Little Rock was shut down by then Governor Orville Faubus, We issued vouchers so that kids would be able to go to school anywhere but in Little Rock. Instead, I hope that we go back to 2002 when I was elected and my senator is sitting there now, when we were talking about adequacy and equity in public education. It is time that we go back to that conversation because we are not providing the adequacy nor the equity that we need to make sure that our children succeed. What is troubling me is people are putting the blame on public school teachers. Well, let me say this. We can only do what you give us to do. And if we are underfunding education, if we are not respecting the job that our school teachers and our support staff do, then we will get exactly what we're getting. Our teachers are succeeding in spite of and not because of. Because we continue to have the same amount of pie, but we continue to slice it thinner and thinner and thinner as far as the funding is concerned. I was disappointed as a member of the Adequacy Committee that we did not choose to increase the salaries to at least $41,500. Why? Because Mississippi is at $41,500 for its beginning salaries. We did increase funding. Teachers will get a raise. But we are no better than those surrounding states, and if we continue to have our talent siphoned off into other states, then we're not going to continue to be the great system that I know we can be. I'm concerned, too, that I'm hearing about this critical race theory, whatever that's supposed to be. I taught social studies for over 30 years, and there are plenty of things in our country's history to be critical of, and there are many things to be proud of. So I hope that we just go back to teaching what are the facts and not start delving into the political shenanigans that seem to be so much apace in American society today. We know that we are not a perfect country, but we know that the Constitution says we are going to provide for a more perfect union, not a perfect one because it is only as good as you and I are. And so I will be continuing to fight for a more perfect union, and that can only come about when we say the truth. And we allow our children to be both proud and cognizant of what we have done well and what we can do better. So I am concerned about the funding for public education, as I have always been, but I'm also concerned about this matrix that we continue to talk about that was put into place under Senator Steele and me, where we're funding education predicated on a system of 500 children. If you have fewer, you're getting less. If you have more, you're not getting enough. And I want to thank Senator Steele, just publicly, he and I were laughing about it a minute ago, for just being my mentor. Because I am one of those persons who is known for saying it, if I believe it. And sometimes I've not always been the nuanced person that I am this evening. And I remember my senator coming down when I was a freshman saying, "May I talk to you?" I said, "Certainly. Linda, you cannot curse the Speaker of the House out." That's growth, and it's still one of my very favorite stories. I look forward to us making sure that our children take advantage of all those things that we have in place. Concurrent course credits. I hope all of our kids are taking advantage of that. We now have a program that allows our children to have free public education for 2 years upon graduation. We ought to take advantage of that. We need to talk about how we can better prepare our children for whatever this new test is going to be. Because we should not be grading our children as if they are A, B, C, D, or F children. We should be grading them on the fact that they are all God's children, and that when we look into their faces, we're seeing the face of God. That begins with you. And it is just an honor, a great honor to represent you, and I stand ready to hear from you and to work with you. Thank you so very much for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do any board member have any question for them?
I have one question. I'll yield to.
I yield to you, Mr. Steele, because you brought him in so I can get the question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, what is the process as far as them allocating money to teachers? I know that initially, when it first came out, I know you all have to, when we got all that money, you had to weigh it and figure out what you're going to do with. who has the last say-so that we get the funding for our schools? Who holds this up? I don't understand that Mississippi used to be on the bottom of the list, and now Arkansas, we're on the bottom. That is pathetic. Do they not understand? You all as senators, I'm not talking about you, I'm just talking about what I know I'm talking about. So I'm asking you that question. What is the process that's about the monetary?
We went through what is called an adequacy study, and I'm on the adequacy committee. I've been on it ad nauseum, really. I've been on there for some time. We met in silos this time. It has happened before where the House and the Senate usually get together and come up with something. It was my contention that we should provide the $46,000 that the governor had anticipated in the beginning, because the monies were there. The monies were there. We have spent over $500 million on tax cuts. And when we put tax cuts ahead of our kids being able to cut in line to achieve, then I have a problem with it. But, you know, we have different philosophies on that. It was decided last time that we were going to hold up the money. There was $500 million. They decided to hold up the money unless the school districts decided that they were going to give teachers a bonus of $5,000 for certified, $2,500 for classified. But you had already given bonuses throughout the year. You've given COVID credits. You've been giving bonus. It's as if they didn't know what was going on that you had done. And for many people, by that time, you had already set your budgets. So therefore, it was difficult for you to go back and say, this is what we're going to do. I think North Little Rock went ahead and did it. Jacksonville went ahead and did it. Pulaski County, which is still under court order, could not do it because it was fiscally unable to do it. So we're playing games here, it seems to me, with people. And we're saying, well, we're going to give everybody a $4,000 raise, but the starting salaries are still going to be, it's still going to be $40,000. If Mississippi's starting salary is $41.50, then we're still behind. We're still behind because all you have to do is go across the bridge in Lula, Mississippi, from Helena to Lula, or go across the bridge to Greenville. You can make $41,500 starting. Most people don't end up like me. I stayed there for 30 years. Most people don't do what Dr. Dot and I did and stay in the same system forever. These kids are more mobile. They move about. They move where they can get the most instant pay. Texas was advertising $60,000 starting salary. $60,000 starting salary, and we're talking about 40. Where do you think they're going to go? I keep trying to tell them, well, you know, they have a windfall profit offset in Texas, so therefore you're not going to be able to draw both your pension and Social Security. But who's looking at 30 years from now? They're dealing with the now. So I suggest that you visit with us. Both Carlton and I listen, but I think you're basically going to be talking to the choir with us, but you have other individuals who represent you, and it is important that you reach out to them.
Thank you.
My question was just answered.
Okay.
Well, thank you both,
And
Senator.
thank you all for all you do. I know how difficult this job is. Thank you so much. It's a thankless job.
Thank you, Senator
sometimes.
Thank
Chesterfield.
you.
Thank you, Representative Wing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, CPPC monthly report and LPPC. Do we have a CPPC report?
Mr. Smith? No, ma'am.
LPPC?
They got a new report, huh?
Welcome, Mr. Cobb.
I had to do some reading here now.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having us back to your Licensed Personnel Policy Committee leadership.
Welcome.
So we're here to present our November 7th minutes. We had several items that we talked about at the meeting. First off, we approved our October minutes, which we presented to you at the previous board meeting.
And the item we spent the most time on in November was talking about the 23-24 calendar. We spent a lot of time discussing what input we had gotten from staff the previous year, concerns that were brought from the board about what you guys kind of wanted the calendar to look like. We decided to move forward and work on the year-long and traditional calendar options and prepare those options to get feedback from staff to send out a survey at the 1st of December or near the beginning of December to get that input from staff and prepare to take 2 options to the community, hopefully over Christmas break. We talked about on the calendar things like adding in AEA days and making sure that we were trying to address, again, things from staff and things from board members on the calendar. So we set tasks to get that calendar prepared, and that has been sent.
Yes, the survey is currently out now and will end at 4 p.m. tomorrow, so any staff needs to vote on that ASAP. We'll be reviewing it at our meeting tomorrow after school.
So you were, Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I see on here where you were going to try to get your information out before we got out for the break. Did you all get the surveys out
Yes.
to everybody?
The survey was sent last Friday, and it's open until 4 p.m. tomorrow. And at that time, we're going to meet LPPC and have a brief meeting and just look over those results and decide how to move forward.
I see that you have Mr. Smith doing a lot of meeting with you all, but the point is, to that is, that's me. And it's down here, okay? It'll be off in a few minutes. But what I was saying, that with this feedback, you say you're gonna do the stakeholders, you're gonna do the staff, and then you come back to the board. Well, anyway, you spent on that for 45 minutes. I guess that was pretty good reading. And, but I'm proud of what you're trying to do, okay?
Thank you.
So I'm having a question. So you all gonna do that last thing you said that you're gonna do. That's all, just follow up, okay? Thank you.
Ms. Wonkum, do you have any questions?
I'm all set. I read my notes.
Ms. McLean?
No.
Mr. Steele?
No.
Great report. Thank you.
We have a few more things.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. And I want to say on the calendars, we will be publishing those results from the teacher survey as well.
And from the community as well.
We also discussed stipend overhaul, and what we have determined was that we need to form a subcommittee to look at that. Mr. Brad Kilbury will be heading that subcommittee, and will be pulling people both from athletics as well as academic clubs to get together to discuss how we can overhaul our stipend situation.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Cobbs?
Yes.
You all got all of the documentation as far as the policy. You know, Mr. Jacob provided you all with all the policies so that you could compare it with the board docs?
Yes, and that's our next
Right.
item. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you all haven't really had an opportunity to go through them yet?
We did.
At this particular board meeting, we dispersed all the documents that Ms. Colquitt has worked so very hard on, and at our call meeting tomorrow, we're going to be approving those, hopefully approving those
Okay. Thank you.
policies on board docs. Item number 6 is we discussed adding the Juneteenth holiday to our calendars. Item number 7 was about dress code, a concern about dress code, especially at early childhood. And Mr. Smith was going to take the issue to Dr. Paluski for clarity. And mainly if any teacher or staff member has any concern about the dress code policy, to come talk to him in HR.
Okay. That's Mrs. Smith.
Could I ask a question about the
Yes.
stipends?
Sure.
I looked at the information you had from all the other different school districts, and it just seems like everything's all over the board on it. And when y'all are looking at this, are you going to look at are we going to do indexing versus just keep the stipend? Or are you looking at how did we come up with this in the first place for the stipends and so forth?
So the subcommittee is going to work on looking at both of those. And what was was attached here was some of the other districts in our area. We're looking at what they've done, how we came about ours, as you asked, and trying to decide what's going to be, of course, fiscally best for the district, but also making sure that we are validating the work that staff are doing, that they're already spending time doing, and other districts are able to provide stipends for that, and we haven't as of yet. So we'll be looking at all of those options during this year as we work on that issue.
Ms. Temple?
I have one too. This has been ongoing for 4 years, been trying to get something done with the stipends, and I don't know what the answer is, but it seems like there ought to be some measure for how much time, additional time, plus how many kids, and not just these flat rates, you know, and I don't know about just a percentage of salaries, because I don't know if that factors that in. I'd like it to be as fair and as consistent as possible, and I feel like the time that it requires and the amount of students somehow need to be factored in. I don't know how you do that, but
We will certainly take that back to the committee and make sure that is looked at. Thank you.
Any other questions?
What's your name, young lady?
Ms. Hanson, Brandy Hanson.
Okay, then.
Sorry.
When you
Let's go,
all brought this in, you know about Bryant, their schools and how much did you really find out so much significant difference in it?
With the stipends?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, bad, ugly.
There are other districts that definitely do provide more stipends than what we do, and they are, some of them are more significant, even ones that we currently have that are paid stipends. Other districts are larger stipends for those same roles.
Okay.
And we also want to, as we're working in this committee, we're wanting to look at of the amount of time that goes into it, the number of students, and also the experience of those educators, which is where the kind of the indexing comes in. And so, you know, do we take into consideration someone that's been doing it 30 years versus 2, and is there a difference there?
Well, next question would be then, are you all looking at who should have stipends or who should not have them?
Both.
Both, okay. That's, and like when you say, you know who got the stipends in the district, but you're looking at stipend, did you compare all of this with the other 3 schools? Because you know you got us down pat here, whole list of stipends that we give, but you only gave a few on Conway and the other high school seniors, the high school's assistant coaches, you know, you gave that down pat. And what I was saying, I guess you'll be having to talk to Mr. Smith and Mr. Brown when you get ready to really look at this seriously. But you all did a very good job on your report, okay? I'm impressed. Continue.
And our last item of this meeting was talking about clarification for the recruitment and retention stipend, which the date we wanted clarification on what the date for ending the first session was, because I don't think it was very clear to staff, and that was December 9th, which was last Friday. And all those people who had 95% of attendance and above would get the payout on their December 22nd check. And so we just wanted more clarification on that as well. And from Mr. Smith, he told us that when we had this meeting to October 31st, 2021, there's about 1,800 absences. And by October 30, same time, October 31 this year, we're at about 1,400 absences, which is a net decrease of 400 absences. So
400 students.
400 absences,
400.
400
Yeah,
less
that's what I'm
absences for
400
teachers.
staff members.
Yes.
We save money.
I guess not just teachers, CPPC as well.
From October to October. You did good, Dr. Pelusi.
Hey, it's our employees.
Any questions?
Great report.
And
Thank you.
Thank you all for your input on these issues as we move forward. We really appreciate hearing from you guys as well.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Hanson. Thank you, Mr.
You
Cobb.
did a very good job.
Thank you.
Madam
So
President,
organized.
quick question of the superintendent.
Sure.
what's the percentage of, and just a guesstimate on your part, male teachers, and are we doing better or falling off?
I don't have that right off the top of my head, Mr. Steele, but we'd happy to be able to take a look at that. I know when we do look at, I almost want to think it was almost slightly a little bit higher in female employees versus male employees. But I do know when you begin to dissect our teaching force as it relates to our student demographic, where we're 60%, African American students and 20, we're about, 80% in our teaching force is Caucasian versus maybe about, 10%, which is in African American. And so that's something that we'll have as a goal, that we need to do a better job in recruitment so that, our students see themselves and work with teachers that they see in themselves. But I don't have the female to male ratio, but I think I might have that in the 100-day plan. I can see it in my head. I can't give you that date, but I'll be happy to give you that to the board of our. Do you want all of our employees, just teachers, probably all?
I was more specifically focusing on male representation.
Sure.
As far as teachers are concerned. As we go to these elementary schools, especially, sometimes I don't see a male in the school unless they're a custodian or security.
That's an accurate observation. I would concur
and,
with that.
you start from the point that there's probably more, Val, you may have to support me or correct me, probably more ladies majoring in education than there are males. So the pool is probably a little distorted to begin with.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that when we think about our career academies, that we want to create a teacher academy so that we can recruit right from home and in our own backyard, that we know that many of our students that graduate stay in North Little Rock. And interestingly enough, I think when we did a poll of our high school students, that many of them were interested in the field of education and public service. So but we'll be happy to get that. I'll get with Mr. Smith, and we'll get you that demographic information data.
Any more questions? All righty, we're down to number 11, informational items, 2022-2023 North Florida School District Virtual Learning Academy update.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, as we've discussed, I'll welcome Dr. Brooke Reynolds, our coordinator of innovative and virtual learning. I don't know if she's going to be with her direct supervisor, Dr. White, but we wanted to keep this in front of you. We've been talking about our academic data, as we've gone through the school year, and we promised you that we would come to you and just give an update of our current virtual learning program. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Reynolds and Dr. White. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Redis, Dr. Paluski, and school board members. Thank you all for having us this evening to discuss our virtual programming and what it looks like for this school year. So the purpose of our presentation is to inform stakeholders of updating of what our virtual academy looks like. So we have some enrollment data for you here, just to talk about what we started out with this year and where we've moved. So we started out with 183 full-time virtual students at the beginning of our school year. 34 of them were elementary, 149 secondary, and the charts break it down by school and grade for you all to look at. 2 of the students have started out with us, were placed with us in May of last year for behavior. So they joined us starting the year virtual due to behavior issues. In addition, we've kind of added another element to virtual this year. We're also serving 150 high school / COE students that are taking one class with us. They're in person in the building, but due to shortage of a math teacher, we are teaching 150 of those students through our Pearson platform in a quantitative literacy class. I do have a couple of students that are also taking a foreign language class with us, and that's due to they were going to take the sign language class that did not make it to high school, and they needed to be able to take their foreign language with us. So we have 3 students with that. I do have another student that's taking an AP Literature and an Oral Communications class because it did not fit into her overly packed schedule at the COE. So we've kind of expanded, and I love being able to offer additional services to our students just beyond being a full-time virtual student. Currently, we had 32 students on our waiting list that wanted to become virtual during the second 9 weeks. And so we were able to place some of those due to, and that next bullet point, 47 students needed to return to the building because of failing grades. We do not want students staying with us extend their stay if they're not passing. So we did ask and sent 47 back. We only had one parent that really did not want to go back into the building, but with myself, Ms. Jordan, the high school guidance counselor, we had a meeting with the parent, and we were able to come to agreement and send the one student back, but that was the only person that did not want to go back after the 9 weeks. So we added 39 new full-time students for second 9 weeks. So those that were waiting, we were able to add them. But 12 of them are behavior-based. One place we've kind of done with students is if they are involved in some discipline actions in their school, then one option is to have them become virtual with me. And we're supporting 12 of those students currently. So just to talk a little bit more about our enrollment beyond just those basic numbers, you can see we do serve gifted and talented, our ESL, SPED, and dyslexia students, as well as students that are with a 504 plan. We have about 100 female students and 83 males, and as far as race, 146 black and 37 white students. To give you a little bit more information about how we're providing those services, GT enrichment is provided with Ms. Curlin for the younger students. We do offer honors and AP classes as well for some of our older students. We do have a dedicated special education teacher that works directly in my office with our special education students, so that's all she does all day is to make sure they are receiving their services. We do have one dedicated paraprofessional that works through our office, and one of our students' IEP plans, he has a one-on-one paraprofessional, so she is in my office working directly with that student every day. We do have a ESL support through the building level teachers. In fact, we just had a meeting today with Pearson and our EL teacher at the high school and the special populations team with Pearson, making sure we can serve our ESL population that are taking classes with us. Dyslexia intervention, so this year, just to help support all of our dyslexia students, we have the teachers in our building, which I'm going to get to in just a moment. Ms. Maxson works in my building with me, and she serves all of our dyslexia students, providing them with their daily dyslexia interventions. And of course, Pearson, if a student has an IEP, LPAC 504 plan, those are uploaded, and they make sure they follow those plans accordingly. So talking a little bit about grades in the first quarter, we do follow the North Little Rock School District grading policy, so our K-3 students are standards-based grading, and our 4 through 12 students are the traditional grading system. And our chart reflects students that had 3 or more D's or F's, and so you kind of see those numbers correspond with the number of students we asked to go back in the building after the first 9 weeks. So those talks about the elementary, middle school, high school students that had 3 or more D's or F's, and the number of students that returned to the building after the first 9 weeks. And of course, I've attached for you all, if you want to see, our parent agreement that will go over what we ask of parents, if the students are failing, what kind of supports we have, if they understand that if their student's not being successful, that we would like for them to go back in the building, and that's included in our parent agreement. So one change we made this year, which I'm thrilled about, is we have added some of our North Little Rock School District teachers teaching the Pearson platform, and so they work out of my office. So we have one elementary teacher, Ms. Baxley. She is teaching exclusively grades 2 through 3 with 14 students, but she does do RTI, response to intervention, with all of our elementary students. So that's an additional 21 students she meets with on a weekly basis just to make sure they're getting their needs if they need that extra assistance. We also added a middle school teacher, Mrs. Maxson. She is teaching math and social studies to all of our 6th through 8th grade students, which is about 47 students. Pearson teaches all of our other middle school classes. She also does the RTI, response to intervention, with all of our 6th through 8th grade students. She meets with them in small groups weekly. And again, she is our dyslexia teacher. Now, you notice earlier slide I said she has 12 students, but she has a 13th student that she picked out who's receiving homebound services, and so she has picked up that additional student. So that's why you see the difference in number. As I mentioned before, we do have a dedicated special education teacher, Mrs. Russenberger. She currently serves 18 students. And then, as mentioned before again, Mrs. Mosley, she is our one-to-one paraprofessional. Based on that student's IEP, she serves that one student. Okay, so a little bit about kind of what our teachers do on a daily basis. I've included in those links some of the daily schedules for our North Little Rock School District teachers. So for elementary, she does meet daily with her students to satisfy that state responsive daily literacy lessons with her 2nd and 3rd grade students. She has weekly meetings for all of her other content areas, weekly meetings for those specials at art, PE, and music. She does that small group with her response to intervention, and she does weekly check-ins with all elementary students. So even though she's just teaching 2nd and 3rd grade, she does kind of keep up with all of our K-5 students. Middle school, she does live lessons each week with math and social studies. Again, she does small groups for her RTI, and she does dyslexia groups daily. She does have 2 different levels that she does, so that's 2 different meetings that she meets with those students for dyslexia. And again, for special education, Mrs. Rosenberger meets either with a group meeting, depending on services they need, or individually with our special education students to help them with their work. Did I do that? Okay, good. All right, and then again, our paraprofessional, she meets one-to-one with that student. He's a 9th grader. I don't think I mentioned that before. He's a 9th grade student. Okay, so talking about attendance. For students that missed more than 10 days the first 9 weeks, we had 6 elementary students and 12 secondary students that had attendance issues. And again, those students were probably the ones that went back in the building. And again, attendance is based on logging into that Pearson platform daily by 12 o'clock. We run a report, and if you do not get in by 12 o'clock each day and begin your work, that's an absence. So that's how we are able to track that. And again, students follow the North Little Rock School District attendance policy. Families do receive those letters after 3, 6, and 9 days, just as if they were in person. Okay, so looking at our test scores, of course, our students did take the NWEA this fall along with their in-person counterparts. And it tells you a little bit about how they did. Of course, the reading average in that RIT score. Most of our students, I think, performed really well. I was pleased with our starting data. And, of course, we're going to give that test again first week back in January, like the in-person counterparts. And I look forward to seeing growth. I really feel like we've done a lot of good work, and we do have weekly data meetings looking over. We started out with test scores and we're looking over grades, and we keep up with that, and that's what we do each week. Okay, so a little bit about parent and student support. We did require an in-person orientation this year. We were not able to do that last year due to COVID restrictions. I think it's helped us greatly to actually see people in person at least that one time. Make sure they understood everything, make sure they could log in, and it made the first week of school much easier on everybody because they logged in with us right there and we saw problems. So that was a tremendous improvement for us. We did also have an optional virtual open house. I was there and our Pearson representative just giving them another opportunity to ask questions. We held that about 2nd week of school, so once they got in and got to see what maybe problems they had that opportunity to meet and ask additional questions. We did have a tech night for parents and students on October 6th. They came in that evening and we just went over some different things, gave them yet another opportunity to ask questions, get some assistance, anything they may have been having trouble with. We did have Pearson hosted virtual open houses multiple times in October, so parents were able to attend yet another session if they were still having some issues. I conduct virtual one-on-one sessions with parents and students after if they still are struggling, still having trouble navigating. I'm there, and of course the teachers are also there doing those special sessions with them as well. We do in-person appointments, so if someone really says, hey, I'm not getting it, we do allow them to come in with appointments to our office and walk through them in person as well. So that's been an improvement this year, is being able to have folks come in and see us and ask those questions. I do send weekly emails that first month just to keep everybody on track, and then it's bi-weekly emails just afterwards for information, support topics, anything they may have. We do use also ThrillShare to notify parents, so that text messaging service to make sure if email may not be the best way to get in touch, we do the ThrillShare as well. We do have a dedicated Virtual Academy website, Facebook group available with information. And we do phone calls. We usually try to do them bi-weekly just to keep them in touch. If their student's failing or not performing well, just have that phone call as well just to keep everybody in touch and no one's surprised if something's going on. Okay. So moving forward, some things we might like to do coming up for that 23-24 school year. We would like to hire some more of our teachers to work. Pearson, you all have seen, you voted on the budget for Pearson. You know that it's more expensive to use their teachers than our teachers. It's a significant difference. So I'd like for us to, bring on that additional middle school teacher to teach all those core areas for us. Potentially hire PE, art, and music because that's usually a K-12 certification, so they could teach those subjects for us for the 4th through 12th grade. And pending enrollment, maybe hire another elementary teacher to take up some of that slack as well. Again, just thinking about the money saving. We would like to still continue, because the high school's curriculum is so diverse, it's easier at this point to use Pearson because of the number of students enrolled and the number of things we would need the teacher to teach at that level. So at this point, using Pearson is better for our high school. And then also, I'd like to be able to continue using Pearson for courses that are not available at our high school. We're able to offer French and German through Pearson, and at this point, our high school doesn't have those. So I do have a few students that are able to take French and German, and so I do like that there's that additional opportunity. There are also some AP classes that may not make at the high school that Pearson is able to offer, and as a child, my child had lots of AP. I like that offering. It's good for those kids that want that additional work. And again, for that school year, continue using the Pearson platform. It's nice. It's put together well. I like the curriculum. Dr. Platt's been looking at the curriculum. I like what we're seeing there. But then going forward, again, I know we always think about our budgeting. That the year after, maybe use more of a homegrown platform for some things to save some for cost and staff everything with our teachers. But use Pearson on an as-needed basis. We found this year it's been very helpful to be able to call our representative and say, hey, I need to put 150 kids in a math class. Can you help us? And the answer is yes, and without hesitation. So I do like some of the things that they're able to do for us, and I think it's a viable option for us as a school district. And I am open for any questions or comments, anything you all would like to know more about.
Ms. Wonkum?
I heard the AP classes were available, and that's awesome. What about concurrent classes?
Well, concurrent credit, they currently do not offer the college programs virtually. Okay. So what we did and what Dr. Paluski approved last year is if a student who is virtual would like to take concurrent credit, they're able to come on campus at the high school and take those because they don't offer those college level programs. But if a student is virtual and would like to take that Comp 1, Comp 2, a college, they're able to come to the high school for just those classes.
Okay. And then looking forward or ahead also, talking about the academies that we're doing. Well, the academies, the career pathways, is that something that our upcoming 9th graders, are they able to do like a hybrid like you spoke about? Is that possible? Are we offering that? I don't even know if that's a possibility.
You want to answer
I
that?
was just gonna. I was gonna.
You want to go first? You go first.
Well, currently,
okay.
Another thing that a student is able to go on campus for is a CTE class, band, and choir. So I think that could be open to conversation for that career path of a hybrid situation. But right now, because we don't, if there's a CTE class that we don't offer virtually, I do have a couple students going to class for TV, band, athletics. Still, we do that kind of a thing. So. I don't want to step over anything. I would say it would be open to possibilities, maybe.
Absolutely, and we want to make sure if there's more of those hands-on courses that are project-based, most of those in CTE, we want to exclude those students. That's why we've got a handful of students that will come on campus. But I think you hit the nail as well, is because just due to our staffing and our course, there's some courses we can't offer. We can offer them virtually. I still think it's an area of growth of concurrent credit. We currently, I think, only offer about 3 or 4 college-level courses. We need to expand that, and that's part of the vision with career academies as well, is that they're able to take dual credit courses as part of that pathway. And I think that's a discussion that we're having is around hybrid We're also looking at our kids, to the other hat of Dr. Reynolds is kids that are in credit recovery. What does that look like? So even we put some things here. We haven't made any decisions yet about, but we've got to be thinking because we know that ESSER money is going to run out. So but we know for some students in our district, virtual is an option for them. And I think that we're meeting their need. Not for everyone, it doesn't work, but I think exploring the hybrid option, specifically too, we've been talking about what that could look like in an alternative environment. And I think when we need to shift our thinking of what alternative means, that alternative isn't behavior, alternative is a different learning environment to meet the individual's child's needs. So I think we're actually meeting tomorrow on this topic to re-envision and rethink about as we go forward.
Okay, so last one. You spoke about hiring our teachers. I'm all for that. Homegrown, in-house, I'm all for it. What does a teacher that works for you look like, though? So am I waking up and teaching a class at 8 in the morning till like 3 p.m.? Or, because I'm thinking, so flipping that, I'm a student and say I've got a medical condition, I've got to go in and out of the hospital for things, I'm doing virtual, I need to be able to see my classes and attend it, but say I have radiation Monday, Tuesday, 8 to 2.
Yep.
So what does that look like?
Well,
Give me a visual.
The perfect thing about virtual is the flexibility. And yes, we do require our second, third grade students to attend that live literacy. Kind of that's the big one. But the nice thing about not only our teachers but the Pearson teachers, they record every lesson.
Okay.
Every lesson is posted. So if I do have my radiation, if I miss something, that lesson's recorded so the student can go back and watch it. And then also the thing, but not only our teachers but Pearson, they have office hours at least twice a week. So if I need that additional support because I missed it or just whatever, I can hop onto that meeting that's open. The teacher's there no matter what. Click a button, there she is. And I'm able to get that additional help if I've missed something or need that. And that's our teachers and Pearson twice a week. Office hours are mandatory.
And there's flexibility in turning in assignments as well.
Okay, good.
Right, because it's what I describe it as, it's self-paced, but you have to have a pace.
Sure.
So yeah, self-paced doesn't mean we sit around for 2 weeks, and that's my catchphrase is it's self-paced, but you have to have a pace.
Right. Agreed. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Ms. Williams?
I have two questions. One on page 3. That's dealing with enrollment. I was looking at the ethnicity of this. You just had black and white students. There were no other students in the enrolled.
I think that what we get into, and forgive me because you're correct, and so that's what I need to. The number of Hispanic students, and forgive me, I didn't put that in there. For you got me on that one, Ms. Williams. Currently, to my knowledge, we have 4 Hispanic students. So that's my fault for not putting that in there separately.
I have one more question
Yes,
to
ma'am.
ask you. I did not understand on the, what I don't understand, if you explain it to me on page 8, it's dealing with our scores. Compared to what? I just see numbers, but I don't know if it's good or fair
Sure,
or what.
absolutely. So if
Just-
it's for the
I
slide
don't,
up there.
that's why I'm asking, just explain it.
Sure,
to me, Dr.
absolutely.
Brown.
So what this reading average column is what of all kindergarten students that number is in 137. So that's the NWEA test that every student takes.
Okay.
So the RIT score, that 136.65, that's when they do their norming study. So that's 50%. So that 136. So then there's 50% higher and 50% lower. So at this point, our kindergarten students are meeting that national average, that 50%. Now, not that 50% is not where we want to be. We want all of our students on this side of the curve. But that's what that score means. So again, when you go down, you look at our reading average. First grade, we had a 184. So we're on this side of the bell with that one. And that 155.93 was that average. So our first graders were exceeding that piece. So those are what those scores mean in all those different categories. Now, the reason why you're seeing the grade out portion for that science is our K2 students do not take the NWEA science.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Temple?
Okay, just, they've asked questions I had, but when you said there was a waiting list, why did we have a waiting list?
Well, I'm happy to explain that. Well, first of all, we bought a number of seats.
That's why I thought we bought a certain number of seats.
We bought a number of seats, but also The reason why there's a waiting list is they've decided they wanted to be virtual kind of in the middle of the process. You know, we started out, we opened registration in May, we opened registration in August, we even went 1 week into school. If you really, want to change your mind, come on. But then at some point we have that cutoff, and then if they decide a couple weeks into it, we bought X number of seats, so we start that list. And same way starting the next semester. There are some students that have contacted me. It's just that starting the new 9 weeks each time.
I thought we had bought more seats than did.
Last year we did. Last
Okay.
year we had an excessive number of seats, and I was trying to be a little bit
Conservative.
well, yeah. I'm not trying to think of the right word, but yes, I wanted we use our dollars wisely, so I tried to keep that. And then we've got some money for second semester, so we're going to see what we've got second semester. So I've used that money that way.
Okay. And then my other question is, you said it's cheaper if we use our own teachers.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we bought seats, but if we add teachers, does it adjust the price that we're paying, or is it?
It does. Well, and depending on what you buy, it's a licensing piece. So there's a dollar amount if we use their teachers and their curriculum. There's a much lower dollar amount using our teachers, but still using their curriculum.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. McLean?
Yes, for you to continue on that point, so you would be thinking that we would have our own teachers, but using their curriculum,
Yes.
okay? And I like the way throughout the time you've been doing this that you've seen other ways to bring somebody into the program that needed this. It's flexible and it could work. Where do you see this? I know you've got 23 and 24 on here. Do you see there being more of a demand for students to do this, or less, or?
I think, and this my trend forecasting here. I think we're at the point where I think we're at a leveling out point. But I think what Dr. Paluski sees and I see is that there's always going to be a need. The phone calls I get, the reason why there's a need. For one reason or another, students feel comfortable with it, that it works for them for whatever reason, because they prefer being at home, whatever reason. Some of them, I've got a student that travels so much that this is perfect. If you have an athlete that has to go travel and do things, they can take this with them and do all their work, but make that better, or whatever career or whatever you may be doing. I think it's a great option. It's a great option for our district not to lose students, but to bring them back in. And so I feel like we're at a leveling out point. So at this point, right around 200 seems like a number we're at. If it grows, I want to be ready for it.
So really, anyone can put their name on the list to be in this program.
Absolutely.
You don't have to fit any certain mold or any certain reasons.
No, not at the beginning. It's an open enrollment just like anything else. Now, based on past performance, there's the conversation. You didn't do so well previously. Let's rethink this. And I had a lot of those conversations in August with folks that were with us the year before, because we were a little bit more lenient last year due to COVID still being prevalent and health reasons. This year it's not quite as, we're all sitting here, most of us, with, not like we were last year. So we were a little bit more strict about grades and, listen, this is not you didn't perform well, we really need you to be back in the building. I had quite a few of those conversations in August.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Steele? And I don't have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dr. White. Thanks, Dr. Reynolds.
Good report.
Thank you, doctor.
All righty, we're down to action items. The very first action item is reorganization of the board. So we start with the very first position. Is there any nominations for president?
I nominate Dorothy Williams for president.
Second.
Any more nominations? Going. Gone.
Say 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say it 3 times.
Are there any more nominations? Any more nominations?
Right.
Any more nominations for president?
Oh, she said say it three times.
All right. I done said it 3 times. All right.
Say it 3 times.
Nominations for Vice President.
Madam Chair, I so move that Natalie Walker as Vice President of the Board.
Second.
We have any more nominations? Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Nominations are closed. Secretary.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I nominate you for secretary. Dr. Redis.
Any more nominations?
Second.
Any more nominations?
Stuck on that 3.
Any more nominations? Nominations are closed. Dispersing officer.
Madam President,
Yes.
I recommend Valerie McLean.
Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Nominations are closed. Alternate dispersing officer.
That's the alternate. I say Cindy because she's in county. What say you? Madam President,
Yes.
I nominate Cindy Temple.
Any more nominations?
I second.
Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Nominations closed. Legislative liaison.
I recommend Mr. Tracy Steele for liaison.
Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Any more nominations? Nominations closed. Parliamentarian. The only thing is left is, the only person left is Miss Angela Person.
And we can't vote on that tonight then, can we?
Okay. Yay and nay. What I was told was we could have if she had already said that that's the position she wanted, but she has not. So yes, we have to wait on that position till she comes back to see if she will accept that position. So I need a nomination, I need a motion for President, Ms. Dorothy Williams, Vice President, Natalie Wancom, Secretary, Rochelle Redis, Dispersing Officer, Valerie McLean, Alternate Dispersing Officer, Cindy Temple, Legislative Liaison, Tracy Steele, and Parliamentarian will be on the next board meeting. Is there a nomination? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
you forgetting the superintendent as
That's next.
I know, I
Is-
thought he was included in the vote.
It's next.
Okay.
Let me have your little piece of paper and I'll run it. I'll make that motion so I don't mess it up, please, ma'am. Madam President, I so move, thank you, that we nominate President Dorothy Williams, Vice President myself, Secretary for Rochelle Redis, Dispersing Officer Valerie McLean, Alternative Dispersing Officer Cindy Temple, and Legislative Liaison Tracy Steele.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that for 2023, President will be Dorothy Williams, Vice President Natalie Wancom, Secretary Rochelle Redis, Dispersing Officer Valerie McLean, Alternate Dispersing Officer Cindy Temple, Legislative Liaison Tracy Steele, and we will vote on parliamentarian next meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It has been adopted. Will you pass this down to Ms. Williams, please?
Yes, Madam President, to Madam President. Before we move on, Dr. Redis, on behalf of the entire Board of Education, we would like to recognize you for this past year, for your leadership for the board. And we want to be able to present this beautiful award to you, and we would love to hear your comments. Dustin, why don't we all come up front would probably be best.
Okay.
Then an over the.
Oh, excuse me.
Sir, Madam President.
Oh, yes, ma'am, sorry, I was waiting until you got that. I apologize. Yes, ma'am. Cameron, you gonna do that?
Also noted
He's
the suit.
pretty stylish.
Very nice.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was great. Just thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ennis.
Madam President, you
Yes.
must get used to that.
Okay, Mr. Steele.
Can I
Dr.
just
Steele.
can I make one comment? First of all, I want to apologize. I have to run to the airport. You know, it's just that time of year. But I do want you to encourage you to consider Representative Wing's invitation to the Capitol. That's something we're going to have
Yes.
to work on, and it happens all the time. But I apologize. I don't think about us because sometimes when you're in close proximity, you know. But Jonesboro School District, Fayetteville School District, they all, as you know, Superintendent, they all visit the Capitol. So there's a day we can have our leadership team even
Yes.
go to the Capitol. I think it'll give you an even greater sense of what's happening
great.
during the session. You know, we could go there, maybe meet with the governor. One thing would be imperative if we go together because parking is awful.
Right.
If we could possibly take the school bus and all go together and then get in there during the
Sure.
beginning part of legislative session,
That's a
which is
great
not
idea.
too hectic.
That's a great idea.
And I think he's serious about maybe recognizing us there. I think that'd be good for us to go.
That's a great idea, Mr. Steele.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to all of you all.
Yes,
Thank
you too, Mr.
Thank
Steele.
you. Where my gift?
I got you.
Okay. Dr. Blue?
Oh,
12.2
12.2 Superintendent X.
Financial Secretary.
Yes, ma'am. Correct. That's really not mine. Too.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that Dr. Paluski be the superintendent as ex officio financial secretary.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. Anyone opposed? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. He just left Dr. Paluski again.
Sorry, Madam President.
Employment.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Well,
Madam Chair, I move that we accept employment of personnel as recommended by Dr. Paluski.
Second.
it's been moved and properly seconded that we accept employment of personnel. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion has been carried. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
I so move that we accept the disposition of minutes on November 17th and December 1st.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the minutes from November 17th, December 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried. Thank you. Consent agenda, Doctor.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends a consent agenda item which includes the following: 13.1 bank reconciliation, 13.2 net legal balance worksheet, 13.3 monthly financial reports, 13.4 business office items, and 13.5 payment of regular bills, and 13.6, well, I guess 13.6 would be the approval of the consent agenda item.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the consent agenda of bank reconciliation, net legal balance, monthly financial reports, business office items, regular bills, and the approval of consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we accept the recommendation of the consent agenda from the superintendent. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion is carried. Dr. Paluski?
Madam President, I'm sorry?
You have anything else?
No, ma'am, I do. The next agenda item will be 14.1, future meeting and events. So our next meeting would be December 15th at our next regular meeting. And just want to wish everyone a wonderful and a happy holiday season.
Okay.
Before we adjourn, may I say something, Dorothy?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank the public, our individuals, our family members, our churches that have partnered with us, the school district, making Christmas happen for some of our schools, for some of our families. Ridge Road, Meadow Park have huge outreach, and it's just been amazing to see our community come together. So I'm just very grateful for that. Also, the middle school, 7th and 8th grade campus collected cans and did over 100 boxes of joy boxes is what they were called. So joy boxes went to families in need, and it was filled with food. So that was just something I want to say thank you to the community about, because that was just amazing that we all came together. It truly takes a village, and our village is pretty dang amazing.
I would just like to ask each board member if you have an acknowledgement that you would like to make a statement about for the future, the year, or anything you have to say. Valerie?
I just want to say thank you for bringing me on board and and leading me. Like, you know, the blind. I'm coming along trying to figure out what I'm doing, and y'all have been great to work with me, and I appreciate that very, very much. And I look forward to the coming year, 2023.
That's true.
And I also, I was telling Dr. Redis tonight, I've got this figured out because we have to, and Tracy's gone. We need to have our song be "We Are a Family."
Yes,
For our,
yes.
And then when you get to that line where you have to say, "All of my sisters and me," Tracy has to say that because he's got the sisters, right? But I'm ready to come into the building. We're here. North Little Rock is in the building now, for sure.
Amen.
Ms. Temple?
Well, I'll just take the opportunity to thank Dr. Redis for her leadership this past year. We've had an awesome year, and I really appreciate all your leadership, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Dr. Redis?
I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of the staff, the teachers, administrators, North Little Rock School District employees. Rock. You have a wonderful 2 weeks off and be ready to come into the new year strong as we are.
I would just like to say, I hope all of you have a phenomenal 2 weeks. You deserve it. Relax. Be with your friends. Be with your family. Eat as much as you want. Watch the TV. Learn how to relax during the 2 weeks that you have. You deserve it. And we want to thank all of our administrators for the phenomenal work that you have done. And to the board, so that I want you all to thoroughly understand this. If you want to know how well our 2 directors out there, those 26 people we hired, Dr. Hooper let us know every building you went to, how long you were in the schools, and that is the most phenomenal report that I've ever seen. And when you have time, board members, look at it. It will just really make you feel good. And then she has the names of those first 26 people we hired, what they were doing, how long they were in buildings. You know, we had to be in 7th Street and Boone Park. That chart shows you that. And I just want to give credit to all of us, all the administration. Mr. Brown, you did swell this year. I'm proud of you. I really am, from the depths of my heart. Thank you, Dr. Pulaski, that we've done more work than he ever had. And you've just been a phenomenal person. And I thank you all. Thank you. And let's not forget our good secretary over there. Just thank you. She has been a phenomenal help to us as board members. Would not let us forget anything. And again, Ms. Colquitt, thank you. And Dr. Pulaski, may you and your lovely wife, Bianca, have a very Merry Christmas. May all of you all be safe, take care, and take care of our children. Please take care of our children.
Amen.
Have a phenomenal Happy New Year. Anything else? If not, Dr. Pulaski, you can close us out.
Ms. Walker didn't say anything.
Ms. Walker, I apologize.
No, I went first. I'm good. I'm great.
Dr. Pulaski.
Just members of our Board of Education and our public, I concur Ms. Williams, and congratulations on being our president, Ms. Woncom, our vice president. We're changing this school district. And I think our community sees it, our employees see it. We are now recognized that the state sees it. And I just want to thank everybody for us all coming together for the business of teaching and learning, which is what we're about in the North Little Rock School District. We're not there. We're not there where we want to be yet, but I do believe that we're putting the right things in place, and I want to thank all of our employees for how hard they work every single day, and our administrators, our executive team. It takes all of us to be moving in the right direction, and I wish everybody a happy holiday, and please enjoy some downtime, some rest, because we have exciting things up on the horizon in 2023. And remember, you just can't hide that charging Wildcat pride.
Hey, Dr. Ms. Lightfoot and Ms. Jordan, again, thank you for your book you put out every week, letting us know what you're doing. I try to read the newspaper, read you all too, but keep up the good work. You're doing a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.